What's up, all my hustlepreneurs out there? Welcome to episode 5 of the Hustlepreneur Life Podcast. On this episode, we have a legend from my hometown, Lansing, Michigan. His name is Desmond Ferguson. He created Moneyball Sportswear, and he's been doing this for about 18 years now. Moneyball is well known in my hometown for the custom uniforms that they do, from the sports apparel that they have, and in general, just Desmond is also known just for what he's done as far as the Moneyball Pro-Am and different aspects of different camps and basketball that he's helped with. So he helped coach my alma mater, Lansing Everett, which is his alma mater also. He took those guys a couple years back to back-to-back Final Four appearances at the Breslin Center for the state championship in high school basketball. So I mean, Desmond's done a lot, and I think it's awesome that he decided to be on it and agreed to it. So I definitely am looking forward to interviewing him. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's bring Desmond on. Desmond, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you for jumping on.
No problem, man. Appreciate you having me, man. Good to be on.
Yeah, so like I said, this podcast is called the Hustlepreneur Life Podcast. So I'm born and raised in Lansing, Michigan. This is the episode number 5 for me. So I was like, man, I should reach out to Desmond and see if he'll jump on, because I mean, when I think of one specific business person or just person in general from or in Lansing that has created a successful business in my eyes, is you. You're one of the first people. And I actually put a Facebook post out saying, like, after you confirmed it, I said, Can anybody guess the one from Lansing, a successful business person, role model? Can somebody guess who's going to be on it? I can't tell you yet because we haven't recorded, so I didn't want to jinx it. But I was like, let me see if you guess it right, I'll heart the comment. First person commented, put Desmond Ferguson. So I was like, see, people already know. So yeah, man, tell us a little bit about you. Who's Desmond, and kind of how Moneyball started.
Yeah, man. First of all, I like the name of the podcast, man. Hustlepreneur, man, because that's it in a nutshell, man. That's what it's all about: the hustle and being an entrepreneur and the everyday grind. But I mean, that kind of represents who I am, and to the bone. Being growing up here in Lansing, Michigan. Playing sports, soccer, football, basketball, going to, Gardner Middle School, Everett High School, and so forth. I started off my grind as, being a local barber.
Okay.
I just cut hair in my mom's basement. That kind of started the hustle / entrepreneur in me at a young age, 12, 13 years old, and I was able to, buy my first car at the age of 16 off of $3 haircuts at the time. Yeah. So that's when the grind really began, and that's when I knew I really wanted to, own something, not knowing, fast forward, it would be Moneyball Sportswear, but I always wanted to have some type of ownership. But, I obviously love playing sports, so I was able to get a scholarship coming out of Everett High School, originally to University of Missouri. Things didn't work out there after the first year, so I transferred to University of Detroit Mercy, where we had a lot of success and went to the NCAA, second round NCAA 2 years in a row, left as an all-time three-point shooter over a 3-year period, and graduated in 2000 with a business administration degree. And then I went on to play professionally for 11 years, so I had the opportunity to play in 11 different countries over my 11 years playing. I had a chance of reaching a lifelong dream, playing the NBA with the Portland Trail Blazers in 2004. But like I said, 11 different countries, from making peanuts to minor league to overseas, getting a chance to experience different ways of life, different cultures, create some dope relationships. And along that way, my first year playing overseas, I was in Holland, and I started thinking about what it is that I wanted to do. Now that I was getting paid to play basketball, because all my life I played basketball, but it was obviously passionate and playing for free. And I've seen so many athletes, in particular young black athletes, that make a lot of money from sports, but they don't have anything to show for it once they get done playing, or even while they're playing. So I had that mindset at an early age. So at the age of 24 is when I came, 23 at 23 at the time, I started thinking about things I want to do. And I knew, because of my love for sports, I still want to be involved with sports, some shape, form, or fashion, even as I got older. So the thought and idea of doing basketball uniforms came to mind, not knowing how I was going to be able to do it. So this is 2000, 2001 when I was brainstorming. And, and why? Because when I was in high school and, many years ago, a lot of teams, all the uniforms looked the same. The only thing different was the name across the chest or the color. So I want to be able to create a custom uniform. And then a year later, in 2002, I was able to play in the Philippines, and I met some manufacturers in the Philippines, and that's really got the ball rolling when we started doing uniforms. And then a lot of relationships that I was able to gain over the years, came into play. Being in Detroit, all the high school coaches and athletic directors, and that's kind of how we started in Detroit, Michigan, Detroit Public School League. Detroit Finney High School was the first school we ever done. My former teammate E.J. Harrelson was a coach there. He's now the assistant coach at Wayne State men's basketball. So, those relationships came in handy. And then slowly but surely, I was able to grow the business. From I was still playing ball, so at first it was a hobby. Then it became a side hustle. Then became a legit business, and it was different steps for me because I played for 2011, and then I went immediately into coaching at Everett High School for 5 years. So I was coaching as well as running business. Then I stepped down in 2017 so I could just run the business full time. So that's kind of the fast pace of
right.
A little history and background of me of how we got started and where my grind and love for just being an entrepreneur came from.
Yeah, so landing those first kind of couple, like you said, schools or those couple jersey, I guess, contracts with schools and stuff. How did that feel? Like, is that when you kept going? Was there ever a time, like, before you did that where you ran into some situations trying to get it started where you were like, man, I don't know if I can make this happen, or kind of what? I
mean, just like in life and business is always going to be different hurdles and obstacles you got to come over. So at the time, I just had a little book with different art designs. I didn't have any fabric, anything, but like I said, my friend E.J. Harrelson took a chance on me. And it's crazy. That was the first team we did uniforms for. And the day after he played his first game, he hit me up like this: "Yo, the numbers are coming out of the uniform." I'm like, "Damn, this business is about to be over before it even gets started." So then we, Rush got him some more uniforms. Second uniform, the numbers come out of the uniform. I'm like, man, this business not gonna last. So they was doing screen printing uniforms at the time. I said, no more screen printing. We're gonna do tackle twill. That's where the numbers and letters are sewn on. And then we did those, and those were great. And then we ended up doing a lot of schools in Detroit Public School area and in Lansing and all the state of Michigan and beyond. But that was the first hurdle, in the business. And it's been so many more. Even 2009, we almost had to shut the doors for a minute when things went haywire and had some problems with manufacturing. So, every year is always, some obstacles, but some are a little worse than others. But, when you're really passionate about something, you just keep going.
Yeah. Now, so how long were you doing the Moneyball, or still playing basketball, professional basketball, while you were doing Moneyball, or was that directly after you finished?
Yeah, no, from day one. So my first year playing professionally was 2000, 2001. That's when I was in Holland, brainstorming, coming with ideas. And then in 2002, I went and played in the Philippines, and that's when that business actually started. So I was playing and running the business. So, that's why it was growing, and then, staying low level growing because I was out the country 6-7 months, out the year. So it was tough to grow something when you're gone, but kept it going. And then, each step has been a growth from when I was playing, had the business going, and even some of the teams I played for, they purchased uniforms from us, and some of the other teams in the league and stuff like that. So we were able to do, I was able to compete and be playing still professional ball, and here I am playing against a team across me that's wearing the Moneyball logo too. That was a cool feeling, but it's been a gradual step. So when I was playing the business at a certain level, then when I stopped playing when coaching was back here in Lansing, it took it to another level. And then when I stopped coaching and just fully Moneyball, it went to another level. So the goal is always growth.
And when did you stop playing professionally?
2011. Yep.
Okay.
So started in 2000, finished 2000. So 11 years professionally. Like I said.
Oh man, so you were still playing? Because I graduated in 2010, and I want to say I think I was on the first team at Everett that we got Moneyball jerseys that year. I think that was the first year we wore.
Yep. So you graduated in 10. So what was that?
2009 would have been the year.
Yep. So boom, Everett won the state championship. 04, we didn't do those. So it was like the year or two after. So I think we started maybe in 06, 07, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
we did.
Yeah, because I was JV prior, and I don't think we got the Moneyball jerseys, but the varsity I think had them. So in 09, when I went to go play varsity, I wore, the Moneyball jerseys. What did you call that logo? You know how like Jordan,
that was our shoot logo.
So you called it that. You deemed it the shoot logo, right?
Yeah, that was our shoot logo. So obviously that was just a silhouette of me shooting a basketball from my days at University of Detroit. And I knew for us to really have the full growth potential that we couldn't continue moving with that logo, being that only Jordan can get away with a basketball, baseball uniform or football uniform, but it kind of puts you in a hole. And what I do, I like to study businesses and individuals of why they're successful, unsuccessful. And, I always talk about And1. And1 had things on lock when you talk late 90s, early 2000s. They were right behind Nike as far as having the most NBA players with their shoes in the NBA. But I think they were kind of stagnant because if you look at the logo, it was a guy with a basketball. Like, you can't put that on any other sport. So your ceiling is only so high. So I was playing professionally over in Bulgaria in 2004, 2005. And at the time, I met some young cats that worked for Spalding over there, and they designed our current logo. So I held on to the logo for like a year or two, and I dropped it because we was having growth and success in the state of Michigan with the shoot logo. But I knew for us to take that national jump, I didn't want us to still have that logo, and we had to go to something else. And now I didn't want to have two logos. I mean, if you look at, our goal is to compete with the big boys. So if you see Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, they got one main logo. You can't have two logos. So we did bring it back a little bit for our 15-year anniversary. Probably do some designs again for our 20-year anniversary. But yeah, we've been rocking with the MB logo ever since. I mean,
I love the new logo. Like, I think that new logo is dope. They definitely killed that, just with the MB and just in the shape. I mean, it's a dope logo. You guys, I think that's definitely the logo, like you said, that would take you far. Did you start actually growing internationally first? Because like you said, you were playing over there. Like you said, you got some schools here and stuff, but did you actually see the most growth actually internationally first, or did you?
It was here first. International came from some of the guys that I played with that may start coaching that was still overseas, or my last couple years professionally, I was up in Nova Scotia, up in Canada, so we were able to do the whole Canadian league. So as I got later in my career, that's when we started doing more of the international teams. But we really grew. We really started off heavy in the AAU scene, and then moving on to the high school scene. So we've done obviously some smaller pro leagues and some colleges and stuff. But the bulk of our uniform business has been on the AAU travel circuit as well as high school.
Now, some people actually in Lansing might not even know the jersey side of it at this point, because you guys have a store now where you guys have apparel, just everyday kind of sports apparel to even some lifestyle stuff. I mean, when did that aspect of the business come to play?
Yeah, so the whole business was built on doing basketball uniforms. Obviously now we do football, soccer, track, volleyball, everything. But why? Because I know how basketball uniforms should look, feel, everything. And that's where my relationships were built. But even when we first started, I just got a whole bunch of T-shirts printed up. And, at the time I was still going to Michigan State playing with the guys. So I would give them T-shirts to give family and friends just to kind of get the name and the word out there. And, our first store, we did uniforms, but, that's back up. We were selling the tall tees, 3 for $10, white tall tees and black tees. So, and originally the first store was, I had one mother, she sold, men's and women, church crowd, she sold oils and stuff like that. So she had a store, and I just had an office where we did our uniforms. And then that was on Pleasant Grove and Homes when we had our store over there. Okay. And then she stopped to go to the store, and then we started doing more retail, different T-shirts, hoodies, and so forth. But now we had the 3 stores, the 2 here in Lansing and 1 in Southfield. But uniform business still 65% of our business. We've been able to grow tremendously from the retail side of things, and it's really starting to catch up with the uniform side. But uniform side of business is really what the business was founded on. So it's kind of two businesses in one. We had a retail side of things, and we had a uniform side of things.
Now, one of my main questions I try to ask on every podcast when I talk to especially like different entrepreneurs is, and obviously you've already mentioned the basketball portion, but did you ever have to have a 9-to-5 to survive? Did you ever work odds and ends? Because I know, like you said, as a professional ball player, I mean, it doesn't always pay the best. You get to do what you love, but especially internationally, I mean, we know it doesn't pay all that great. So, did you have to work 9-to-5s, or did you rely on Moneyball to bring in your income?
Yeah, no, the only job I really had to have was back in my college days. I worked for Pepsi as a merchandiser, so I used to go throughout the city and stock the shelves or whatnot. But no, I was able to, make good money playing over the years, and I invested that money into the business. And I stopped playing when I was ready. I didn't stop because of injury or because I was forced out. So I wanted to make sure I grew the business to the point where once I got done playing, that can go right into the business and have that going. So it could take care of me and pay the bills or whatnot. So I was able to grow it over those years and just go right from playing into run the business. So I didn't have to go get a 9 to 5 or anything like that.
Yeah, and I know, and I like how you mentioned too, I mean, networking has been huge for you, like you said. I mean, just making sure you maintain relationships, because, I mean, just being a good person, being a kind soul, you know, can come back and definitely help when you you know, have good friends and can kind of lean on people. So I think that's pretty cool. So it kind of leads into my next question was, are you in business with anyone else? Like, are you sole 100% owner of Moneyball, or is there co-owners with you?
Yep, no, man, got it out the mud, man, dolo, man. So it's been just been me. Obviously, I have a great team that's helped me grow the business, because you can't do anything alone. But I haven't done any, haven't gotten involved where I don't have a partner and nobody owns any percentage of business. I own it 100%.
Now, not to get too personal, but again, because this is an entrepreneur podcast, we just like to kind of ask questions like this. So now, like you said, 100% of the money was invested from you, or did you have to get Did you get loans to start the business?
No, like I said, I invested, man, all my earnings from playing right into the business. And like I said, so it's been gradual. Like, you know, we've been in business 18 years. I mean, you may hear some people that there may be some people that just heard about Moneyball, or some people that feel that Moneyball just blown up, you know what I'm saying, kind of on a local level as of recent. But, you know, it's been an 18-year grind. We're almost 20 years deep. So the success you see is really taking time, and it's been built. Like, it's not been too fast-paced where we couldn't keep up. We've been able to strategically grow the business year after year.
Now, looking back, do you is it easy to say that you like the progression, as you know, like you said, from year to year, or do you look back and say, man, maybe if I did, you know, like over time, did other people try to invest, or did other people say, hey man, like I want to go in with you, or I want to give money, I want to invest in it?
No, well, you know, when I first started out, you know, I had friends and people that I, you know, gave my idea to and they wanted to do, but you know, during those times, ain't no money coming in, so it's just it's a real grind. Like, you know, that's why I tell anybody when you're starting a business, do something that you love, that passion for, because the money not gonna come right away. You know what I'm saying? It just ain't gonna happen. I mean, you're gonna have to invest money into it, whether you're out of your own or from someone else. You got to invest those dollars into it. So early on, when I was talking to people, you know what I'm saying, some of my friends, you know, it was just, and rightfully so, it's tough. I mean, if you're going 6 months, a year without making any money, and, you know, okay, when I'm gonna start making money, people got, you know, families and bills until they need to pay. So, no, I just grind it out. And then, you know, I'm a firm believer, just like, you know, Dame Dash is, he talk about, you know, investing that money right back into the business. I mean, you know, you'll see people that make, you know, thousands of dollars, whatever, and then go spend it on different stuff. And now you can be in the whole business-wise. Whereas, you know, once we, you know, making $100,000, investing that right back in the business, $500,000 right back in the business. So that way the business keep growing. So you really can't fully enjoy financially the fruits of your labor, but it's the end goal. It's not just to, you know, be rich or, you know, have amount of money this year or 5 years, and looking at the long-term goals.
Right, and I think that's, again, another thing to point out, and that we've pointed out on a couple other podcasts too, is just like, yeah, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme, you know, like you said, it's building a business is all about passion and just, you know, understanding that, yeah, it's going to be a struggle, and that's why, again, I mean, some businesses don't succeed. It's just unfortunate because they're expecting money quick, and, you know, it's a grind, and so that's why I salute you for, like you said, 18 years. Yeah,
we live in a microwave society where everybody wants it right now, you know what I'm saying? It's no patience, you know what I'm saying? But to me, you know, slow grind is better than no grind, and that's the way I look.
It keeps you going too. I mean, it gives you something to wake up to every day. I mean, you hear so many people that, you know, that accidentally got rich quick and they don't know what to do. I mean, actually, you can look at professional athletes are kind of a good example, because I mean, they get relatively rich pretty quick. You know, the grind through high school, middle school, and all that stuff, but like, some of these guys are signing millions and millions and millions, and I think it's gotten better over the last few years of financial advisory and stuff for the young guys now, but like probably, 10, 20, 25 years ago, like a lot of these guys were signing $1 million contracts, and you hear the stories of them they were just blowing their money because they didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think especially in the Black community, financial literacy is something that we're not taught. I mean, I was victim of it. You know, my first year I went overseas, I came home with 40 grand. I thought I was a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? I bought me a 2001 Expedition at the time. Went down to Miami, balled out for a month. Yeah. Went to LA, balled out for a month. Then I was broke. You know what I'm saying? So, sometimes you got to go through it in order to get to it. I mean, if you never taught about money, then you got to teach yourself or experience some tough times. It's going to make you, spend and save better. So, unfortunately, we don't get taught that, from the things that we don't have mentors or people that teach us along the way. Where you got to bump your head, and then hopefully when you bump your head, you learn. But some people bump their head and keep bumping it until they're broke.
Well, I think that's a kind of a good transition into kind of that mentoring and stuff. I mean, you're known in the community too for kind of doing things like you said, from coaching and different things like that. So kind of we spoke a little bit about Moneyball just now, but kind of speak a little bit on that other aspect of your life, where the coaching, the mentoring, and kind of the other things that you've done aside from playing and aside from the Moneyball Sportswear.
Yeah, especially my last few years of playing, I was pretty much always a captain of my team and almost like a coach player. And, which is funny in coaching, because some of my coaches always told me that you're going to be a coach, you're going to be a coach. And I was like, no, I ain't going to be no coach. I ain't going to be a coach. And really, coaching wasn't a goal of mine. It was just a unique situation. But my coach, Johnny Jones, who, had been saying he's going to retire ever since I was in high school, he said he's going to retire, but he stayed around. And, to see where the program had got to, how bad it got, because, in my opinion, Everett is the basketball school in the city of Lansing when you talk about, guys that have been able to play college and professional basketball. And it's just bad as it was, it kind of hurt me to see it. So during my last year of playing, I knew I was about to retire. I called Coach Jones and, I asked him what he was going to do or whatever. And then I came back and I coached under him for a year, and then I ended up taking over. But coaching wasn't a lifelong goal of me. It was just, one, I'm passionate about my alma mater. For two, I love the game of basketball. And for me, one of the biggest things I loved about the game of basketball was the camaraderie and relationships I've been building. I could be overseas in Germany for 2 months and play with a couple Americans, and we have a lifelong relationship. So that's kind of what I miss from playing, and then being able to coach the kids at Everett. They kind of gave me that, but it was also a challenge. I like building the business. I like to building Everett, basketball back up, because prior to me coaching over a 4-year period, Everett was 10 and 72 over a 4-year period. So I'm like, this is not Everett basketball. This is how it should be. So my first year we only won 5 games. My second year we won 6 games, but then we went to 24 and went to the Breslin 2 years in a row. So that was kind of my way of giving back to my school and giving back to the city. Like, look, this is how Everett basketball should be. And I always said I had a 5-year plan. If I was still coaching after 5 years, then the business wasn't growing like it should. And then if I stopped coaching after 5 years, that means the business was growing. So one thing I didn't want to do, I didn't want to cheat the business, or I didn't want to cheat the kids either, because during our Final Four and our 2 Final Four Breslin trips, I was getting calls on the bus about uniforms and stuff like that, where I had to put off the business because this is a once lifetime opportunity. I got to make sure I give my players the full detailed attention. I didn't want to half do it, so obviously I had to step down. But I think it's very important. Over the last 17 years, we've done a free basketball clinic right here for all the kids in Lansing. Those things I'm passionate about, because I feel whenever you have any type of success, you should always get back to what you come from, and that's just what it's about for me. The money, notoriety, all that is good, but I get a joy out of being able to teach and show a kid something, and they really put it to use and have fun, and you can see the joy on their face. Like that brings joy to me. So that's what it's all about, as far as us giving back, and that's one of the pillars of our Moneyball Sportswear. Obviously, from uniform stuff, we do customization. We got good turnaround, good price point, but community is big for us as well. When you talk about the Moneyball program that we've been doing the last 17 years, which is free to the public as well. So those are our ways of giving back. And then when I'm able to come in contact with some people that's passionate about doing something and, may want to start a business, or have any questions or any way I can help, it's only right that I, get back some of that game that I've been able to experience and learn over the years.
Now, do you relate that to, did you have a mentor growing up? Like, where did you get that within? Were you born with that kind of thought, or did you have role models that growing up that you're like, man, like I love how he gives back, or I love those type of things? Where did that come from for you?
Yeah. Obviously growing up in a single parent home, I didn't have my father around, but I had some great coaches that kind of filled that void. And even when we talk about the free basketball clinic, when I came up, I was going to Dr. Tucker's basketball clinic, and that was my first that was the first time I was able to touch and feel NBA players, whether it be Steve Smith or Sean Kemp or Oscar Robinson. All these players are coming back here in Lansing, Michigan. It made me like, oh, dang, that looks like something I can do, you know what I'm saying, because I can touch, feel it. So when it comes from, like, the free basketball clinic, like, I get that strictly from Dr. Tucker, man, the things. And even he had a paid camp. He gave hundreds of scholarships every year to kids that couldn't afford it. So that's what it was all about. And then we talk about the Moneyball program. My guy Glove out of Detroit, growing up in my years playing ball, I either had to play at St. Cecilia or down in the Flint program. Lansing didn't have a program. And I just knew that, with Lansing being dead smack in the middle of the state of Michigan, as well as a lot of basketball players and enthusiasts, it would be great if we could have a program here. So my man Glove taught me how to run a program, and then that took off. So I've been able to gain things from people in the community, or just some of the coaches that I've been to play for over the years.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that program. Let's go a little bit more into that, because again, that's something now. Again, besides the jerseys, like I said, I mean, you guys are growing so much that I think so many people, again, they might not even realize the jersey thing anymore. Like I said, they see the sports. I mean, you're doing so much now that it's just so cool how you guys have broadened. I mean, that pro-am is just, again, like you said, it's blown up. I mean, the amount of people that play in that is just, it's awesome. And I remember seeing one time, what was cool is CBS Sports. I got like a notification, on my phone, and it said something about like either Miles Bridges or Draymond Green, something at Pro-Am, at Moneyball Pro-Am. And that was like CBS Sports, and it was just like, man, like, that's dope, And then, so I mean, just talk a little bit more about the Pro-Am, and just, again, a little bit more details on how, like you said, it started and where you're at with it.
I mean, another one of those things where it's been a grind. I mean, Pro-Am is 17 years, like I said, it's got a lot of notoriety the last, 3-4 years, in particular when, Miles Bridges, he's a highlight reel waiting to happen. But we started that this summer after my stint with the Portland Trailblazers, so 2004. So we've been doing it ever since. And, I had to do it a little different than most programs, because like down in Detroit, the program is built off pro players, where in Lansing we didn't have a lot of pro players, so I had to build it around college guys. So when I first started, I went down and sat with Izzo and like, this is what I'm trying to do, and would you allow your guys to play? And once he said yes, that's kind of where it took off, because so many people come see, whether it be the incoming MSU freshmen, MSU starters, the MSU players, former MSU players, and it was a point in time I was about to pull the plug on it, because it wasn't what I wanted to be. I mean, we used to play on weekends, and we were switching from Everett Gym to Sexton Gym to Harry Hill to Patton Gill, so we didn't have a consistent gym, and we did it on the weekends. And summertime weekends, everybody want to travel or get away, so it wasn't, the players weren't committed coming consistently. We probably had 20 people in the stands, not no fans or anything like that. And I was thinking about pulling the plug, and I said, I'm gonna give it a go one more time. So we switched it to Tuesday and Thursdays, because nothing going on in Lansing during the week. Right. And then we were able to find a gym in Aim High that we could be at every summer, so people could recognize, okay, this is what a program is going to be. And then it took off. It's funny because, I ran to Draymond at the airport. This is right when he left Michigan State, when he was going doing workouts. And, we were talking about how can we make the, program, bang, and, saying more people involved and everything. And, he was instrumental, like early on, even when his first couple of years when he was in the NBA, he was coming back to play in the program. Mm-hmm. And that really helped us grow. And then you take a guy like Miles Bridges, who's, he's the perfect open gym, summer league type of guy with the highlights he can do, and like you said, Ball is Life and CBS and all this stuff. And then it goes viral, and then so it's it's like the business. It's grown over time, or it was kind of slow. Like when I first started coaching Everett, we was taking them L's, but that's kind of the history of me. Like I like building things up, and nothing for me come easy or come overnight. It's been a real grind. So we was probably in year, we've been doing the program, 17 years. So I was probably in year 10 when I was about to close the doors on it. And then right when I was about to close the doors, it kind of took off. And that's a lesson not only for me, but for others as well. I mean, when you put so much time, so much grind into it, it's a lot of people that stop doing it right before they receive a blessing, like, expecting that's going to be right there. But if you go through those tough moments in that grind, like eventually that grind going to pay off.
Now, I mean, you're exactly kind of the prime example of that, and of what an entrepreneur, like you said, is, because, I mean, that's exactly what it is. And you see almost all successful entrepreneurs say exactly what you said. I mean, you go through those years of struggle, and then you get to, you turn that corner, and it seems like there's always that pivotal moment in an entrepreneur's kind of grind or a journey where it's like, do I close the door? Do I stop? Do I do this? And I think that's that defining moment. And some take it, some go, you know what, I'm going to keep going. And then some, unfortunately, have to, for whatever reason, close the doors. But no, I mean, that's definitely tremendous kudos to you, man, just on everything that you've built. I got to ask though, how do you just walk up to Tom Izzo, or how do you just get an appointment with Tom Izzo? Did you know Tom?
He my senior year at Everett, towards the end, he recruited me.
Okay.
And then I ended up at University of Tremor, but we beat Michigan State 3 years in a row.
Okay.
And, I was able to come down here in Breslin and beat them. And then they always allowed me, even through the summers as a pro, allowed me to go out there and work out all the time. So, I knew the code to the locker room and stuff. And it was, times like I might go out there at midnight, get on the shooting gun, get some shots up, get some work in. So it was always that relationship being in the backyard. So I appreciate them always allowing me to come home in a sense and, play pickup with the guys and work out, do everything else. So that's kind of where that relationship it started. So, obviously some of the guys in the state, like Mateen, like a brother to me, and, all the guys that played at Michigan State over years, we've had some type of relationship, and particularly with them playing the program. But yeah, I know him well enough to be able to get a meeting and sit down with him, and with his blessing, that's when, and once Michigan State came on board, Oakland University came on board, Western Michigan, Central Michigan. So like I said, we built that around the college guys.
Mm-hmm. Is there ever a point in time in your career, as far as an entrepreneur goes, where you don't maybe have a relationship with somebody like Tom Izzo, and that you've had to just kind of, put your big boy pants on and just be like, you know what, like if they turn me down, whatever, but I'm gonna go for it, or or have you had pretty good success with networking with people?
Yeah, networking doesn't actually come natural to me. Like, growing up, I was always kind of laid back, a little shy, but business has made me be more outspoken but even like if I'm going into a school where nobody knows me, knows the business, and I'm trying to put them on uniforms, like I'm not a salesman, but what we have sells itself. When you talk about the quality of what we have, when we talk about our price, when we talk about our turnaround, those things kind of sell itself. But anytime I have a conversation, I'm always trying to find a common ground, or something that make somebody kind of perk up a little bit, and rather be my background in sports, or what I've done coaching or business, or basketball clinics, or something. Like, I try to find something that whoever I'm talking to can resonate with, and kind of go from there.
Now, have you been able to be with the same manufacturer? Like, because you mentioned the turnaround, you mentioned the quality. So, like, have you been with the same manufacturer and kind of helped make the manufacturing better, or like, tell me a little bit about how you are with the manufacturer you're currently using. Yeah.
So it's we have manufacturers out for uniforms. We got various manufacturers for retail, but I started off with the uniform. So when I first started, the only manufacturer I had was in the Philippines, and sometimes in the there's times throughout the year, Philippines have some really bad weather, almost like tsunamis and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And, there was a time where it was, items were really getting delayed and weren't able to turn things around. And it made me think, like, damn, what if my manufacturer no longer exists, or they, shut down, like my business would be shut down. So those problems made me say, okay, now I have to get other manufacturers. Not only do I have to get other manufacturers, but I got to get other manufacturers in different countries as well, because even if I got another manufacturer in the Philippines, like I said, if they have a world disaster, my business is done. Right. So that made me start looking in China for some manufacturers. That started making me look in Pakistan for manufacturers. And I was able to have multiple manufacturers just in case something went bad. And even from a retail standpoint, now we deal, a lot of stuff is in China and Asia. As we continue to get our own branded products as opposed to getting other items and just printing or embroidering on them.
Now, without giving your secret sauce, how do you go about finding the manufacturers?
Man, it's, well, in the early days, I would always go out to the Magic Show. So the Magic Show,
Magic,
twice a year in Vegas, in February and in August. I would always go to end of August. So, biggest clothing convention, and that's back like when Sean John and Fat Farm and everybody was. And that was cool and fine and dandy. But I was going there for the manufacturing. So they have they have this part where they call sourcing. That's where all the manufacturers are. So I go down there and, you know, my notebook and everything, and sit down and meet and write notes and, you know, prices and all that stuff. But that's how we got started earlier. But now, I mean, just being real, like my emails just get flooded with, I don't know how they find my email or all that stuff. I get emails from every country, every manufacturer is. So most of them I delete, but every once in a while I might see something that you know, spark my interest, and I may reply and go back and forth. But some of the manufacturers that I have now have been doing a great job. And different manufacturers specialize in different things.
Right.
But Magic Show was very important for me during those early years to find some manufacturers.
No, that's cool. And like you said, you've actually had to transition. So how did you go from designing basketball uniforms to designing football and other sports? Again, are you? I guess I should say, are you the one designing them, or do you have designers? Like where, like you said, you're like
I would like to say I am, but I'm not. Man, I was. We have a great designer. I was blessed, man. To like the team of people I got have pretty kind of fallen in my lap in a sense. Like I haven't had to go out there and kind of have to recruit talent and stuff like that. But our head designer Jeffrey Sykes, he was at Central Michigan, and at the time we did a throwback uniform from the University of Detroit Mercy, and it was Dick Vitale used to coach at UOD, and they were named the court after him and all that stuff. So we did a throwback uniform back when he coached, and it made big time news and got on some a website called Uniform Watch or something like that. And Jeff at the time, he just seen that we had our uniform was on there, because what they have on there is like, you know, some really good uniforms or really bad uniforms. Right, they kind of talk about. And, because it was an old school uniform, we got some of the good, we got some of the bad. Right. But he seen that we were located in Atlanta, so he just called us. And then he said, you know, he didn't know how big or small we was. He called and I answered the phone. And he was like, "Oh, I'm talking to him." So he asked for an intern and, you know, gave him his background. So he was at Central Michigan about to graduate, but he specialized in design and textiles, which was great. So we get a call about an intern. I'm like, "Sure, you want to design uniform? We got you." So it was great for that summer. And then he graduated in the summer. Then I hired him full time. And it just so happened that he's really passionate about making uniforms, all sports. And he has more of a soccer background, which has allowed us to grow in the soccer. And he was like a equipment manager at Central Michigan for the football program. So therefore, he knew the specs and everything, how football uniform is supposed to be. So, you know, it went from basketball to football and soccer and then, you know, I try to involve people that, you know, that's an expert in that field. You know, rather I have some homeboys and folks I know that used to run track at a high level. Okay, how these track uniforms look, or how they feel, what adjustments we need to make. So a lot of it is trial and error, but yeah, we at a point now where we can do all sports.
Now, do you have like a running list of like how many states you're in, or like do you keep tabs on all that stuff?
You know, when people ask me, they be like, "Man, how many uniforms do y'all do, or how many different states?" And we used to have it on our website, a whole bunch of teams. I think we took it off, but I haven't kept track of that in a couple of years. So, man, we everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everywhere. Yeah, I can't think of a state that we haven't done uniforms for a team or, you know, something. Yeah.
Now I gotta ask too. I mean, 2020. I mean, what's COVID and what's all this been? You know, how have you navigated through this? A trying year that for a lot of people it's been tough.
Yeah, man, it's been tough. And keep in mind, I started this business based on sport uniforms. So I said, this is the business that's going to be still here when I'm dead and gone. I didn't want to do so-called urban clothing line where it's trendy, a la Fat Farm, Shine Down and stuff. Yeah, they made a big impact and a lot of money in a short amount of time, but they really don't exist now. Like, I wanted something that can exist when I'm dead and gone, that I can give to my son or, you know, my loved ones, and keep the business going. And I never envisioned sports not existing. So, you imagine with COVID-19, that took a big hit on us. One of our biggest seasons is AAU season, and that happened right around and spring sports. I mean, whether it be baseball, softball, soccer, you know, track, like those are spring sports that we do well in the high school level, and that was cut. And like I said, the uniform business is 65% of our business, so that's a majority of our business in a sense. And so it made me go back to the drawing table. Like, man, like we don't got no uniforms coming in. This is a big time. Like, you know, this is a time of year that you're predicting and expecting a certain amount of income to come in. And not only that, now you talk about the retail side of things, we had to close all 3 stores. Right. So it's like, man, like business is shut down. and it made me, okay, what can I, like, I got something, we got something, what do I do? So that made me go directly online. I mean, you know, people talk about retail and brick and mortar stores and how everything is moving toward online. Yes, that's true. But I feel if you have the right business, like brick and mortar will always be, you know, a part of the game. Unless you just a big box and got a whole bunch of stores, that's different. I think the big box stores will end up dying down, and that's not going to be the thing that's going on. But it forced us. We've been doing solid online. You know, we have online sales, and I always want more, but we weren't doing as good as I wanted to. So I put all my focus, couldn't focus on uniforms, you know, retail open. So I put all the focus on online sales, and our online sales took off. You know, I think from the standpoint that people couldn't go out and people sitting at home shopping, and on top of people getting them checks, you know what I'm saying, couldn't put the money in their pocket. Right. And then a lot of people made a valid effort to shop for black business as well. Right. So I think all that kind of helped us. So we actually seen a growth in our retail side, a huge growth once COVID came. You know, uniforms is uniforms. I mean, sports don't exist. It's been tough. It's definitely taken a hit, but the retail side of things has really grown in 2020, which is a plus. Now we have to just get both up and running at full capacity.
So what do you see for 2021? Kind of what's the game plan? What's the goal for 2021? Keep focusing on online, or, you know, what's that 2021 game plan?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, continue to grow online sales, as well as, you know, people. You know, we've been back open since June. Now, been a retail store. We've been able to open the whole time, but we were shutting that down 2.5 months. So from a retail standpoint, the goal is always to get as much foot traffic in all 3 of our stores, as well as increase online sales. And then uniform is obviously to be able to, you know, as opposed to when, like we were talking high schools, our goal is no longer just to go off the basketball team as the basketball coach. We want to be able to talk to the ADs and get the whole school and all their sports. So those are, you know, our 2 goals that we're looking for 2021 once sports can get back going. But heavy emphasis on retail. We have a lot of new products and items that we're about to drop, and, you know, just excited about, you know, what the future holds for us.
That's cool. And then, so brick and mortar, is that kind of, did you, pre-COVID, were you thinking about expanding stores, or are you still thinking about, you know, expanding stores?
Yeah. We're working on some things. You know, right now, obviously, we have a store on the west side of Lansing, on Saginaw and Waverly, then we're in the Meridian Mall. And obviously, we lease and rent both of them. But the ultimate goal is ownership. So we want to be able to own our own building. So that's something that we're working on, with the goal to be able to have our own in 2022, because, you know, it takes a while. But right. Yeah, we want to continue to strategically grow. We don't want to just drop a store somewhere just for the sake of growing. But even my guy who runs our Southfield store, he's from Atlanta, and we've been able to gain momentum down in Atlanta. Even, you know, Chicago, we did a pop up for the NBA All-Star weekend down there. So we were trying to do some things in Chicago. We got some feet on the ground. So anywhere we can get some feet on the ground, because you can't just drop a store anywhere and not have any momentum to be a dud. So you have to build up that hype and momentum wherever you go.
Now, for you guys, do you guys wholesale at all? Like, do you?
Nope.
No wholesale?
No. Yeah, I'm from the Nipsey Hussle, you know, state of mind. You know, cut out the middleman. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I would love to get to that level eventually, but right now where we at, the demand isn't high enough to include a middleman, because if we're buying something for $10 and selling at $40, you know, we want the $40 as opposed to $25. You know what I'm saying? So, the goal is to be able to, you know, distribute everything ourselves, and, you know, to compete with the big boys, it may get to a point where we all have to wholesale, but you know, we're not there yet.
I think it kind of gives you like that exclusivity too, though. Still, it'll help build the online, because it's like, oh, where do I get it? Like, you know, you got it. You know,
well, I mean, it's sort of like, you know, I like to study all kind of brands that come in. It's sort of like, you know, Supreme. You know what I'm saying? You just can't go buy Supreme anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Right. You know, you can't just get it anywhere at any time. You know, and obviously that's why the resale stuff online and stuff is so high. But, you know, being exclusive, you know, has its pluses, depending on how big you want to grow as well.
Now, you know, you stopped coaching and all that stuff. Is any of that back on, you know, your mind? Is there a game plan to get? No, you're done?
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, you never say never, though. You know what I'm saying? Right. Unless my son able to, you know, get me out of retirement, something like that. But no real goals or aspirations of coaching. You know, I love waking up every day thinking about and grinding with the Moneyball biz. So that's where everything is for me.
No, I think it's cool what you did with the program too, though. I mean, that I mean, because again, I take pride in being from Everett, you know, too, as far as sports. I was mainly a baseball player, so but obviously I played basketball too, and yeah, to see kind of the struggles that the program went through. Because my brother was in school, he graduated in '06. He didn't play basketball, but I went to the Brez and watched Andre Collins and Derek Nelson and G. You know, I watched them win, you know, the titles. So, you know, it was prideful, and it just kind of seemed like, you know, unfortunately, the program kept going down. And then to see the revamp when you went in there, it was cool to watch. You know, I still see updates and stuff. So seeing these guys succeed and see you guys have such success it was cool. And like you said, it's cool to be able to give back or, you know, do something for your hometown. And so do you have plans, again, not to coach necessarily, but of just other ways to give back to Lansing, whether it be more camps or scholarships or just anything like that?
Yeah. One of my goals that I haven't fully done that I should have been done is I want to be able to have a foundation that can do different things, a nonprofit foundation that can do different things as far as scholarships or, you know, helping those in need. And we'll always continue to do our free basketball clinic and the pro-am and stuff like that. But it's more of that I want to be able to do as we continue. I think, you know, end goal is to be able to make enough money where philanthropy is something that I do on a daily and weekly basis.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, shoot, that's something I like too. You know, I don't know if it's being from Lansing that makes you want to give back, just because, you know, I moved to Florida now, so I live in Florida now. Down in by Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, so I live down there. Me and my wife. She's from Lansing too, Lansing Everett. We both moved down, and yeah, it's just, you know, I've always wanted to give back. You know, I don't know if it's because Lansing has been so kind of less fortunate of years, especially because my parents both worked at General Motors, so I kind of got my grind from them. You know, they went and worked a factory job every day, you know, and provided, you know, good for us. It was good, but it wasn't easy, you know, working a factory job. So I saw, like, oh, you got to work hard to make money, you know. And then from my brother, I learned the entrepreneurship and all that stuff. But yeah, unfortunately, when GM left, you know, Lansing's just kind of slowly been going downhill. So, you know, definitely, I think giving back and trying to get the education system and having an education from Everett too, you know, like you said, you know, it's nice to give back to those kind of where you came from. So we actually started a scholarship fund in my brother's name, because my brother unfortunately passed away in 2015 in a car accident. And yeah, so we're working with, well, COVID hit this year, so we weren't able to do it. But next year, yeah, we'll be giving away the first scholarship. We're working with Miss Collins at Everett, the art teacher. So I love Miss Collins. Yeah, so we're gonna be working with her to get some students, you know, to give a scholarship, because my brother was into arts and graphic design and stuff like that. So yeah, we want to give back to somebody related to that. But yeah, just that feeling of, you know, it gets to be in his name, but to be able to give back, you know, is going to feel good. And I think that's definitely what it's about, whether you're successful, non-successful, you know, or however you may want to deem it. Like you said, success necessarily isn't about how much money you have. It's just, you know, how happy you are, how passionate you are. And I think if you're able to give back one way or the other, whether it's with a ton of money or just resources or mentoring or anything, I think that's kind of the name of the game, at least for me. And it sounds like for you also, just, you know, that's what it's about.
Yeah, especially whenever you get a chance to dedicate that time, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing. When you can give your time to something that you're passionate about, that makes you happy, then that's success right there in itself.
Yes, sir. I like to kind of also do some questions, so we'll do some like lists. So we'll start with, who are the 3 people who have been most influential to you? So it doesn't necessarily have to be business people. It doesn't have to be, you know, whoever. Just kind of in life and in business, who would be kind of 3 people who have been most influential to you?
I'll say number 1, my mother, my cousin Stevie, who's just a man's man, great husband, father. And those are people I grew up. I can touch, I can feel, I can talk, and have conversation. Then those that even though I've had conversation with this person, I would say Magic Johnson. You know, I had a really good conversation with him, and still my bucket list is to be able to, you know, COVID kind of messed everything up, but I want to get out there and I want to shout him around for a few days and got the relationships and everything to know how to maybe do that. And as much as I love what he's done as an athlete, I love him more what he's been able to do from a business standpoint, and being from the hometown is so that's one of like my bucket list things. But I probably say those three, two people that I, can touch, feel, talk to anytime, and someone else that has allowed me to dream beyond Lansing.
Yeah, Magic definitely. Was he now the only person to have like win championships of like 3 different sports teams or whatever, owning WNBA, NBA, and MLB? So I mean,
yep, that's crazy. Yep.
And that's what it is. It's about buying. He bought, invested in the businesses, and just that. I mean, he's definitely taken it to another level with that owning. I don't know how many people can say they own portions of 3 different professional teams.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of few of, or the only.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, that's pretty cool to be able to say, like, he graduated, he came from, where we came from.
Yeah.
Another one would be, what are some resources kind of that have helped you along the way? So whether it be books, Google, leaning on somebody that's already done it before, like where have you kind of got some of your knowledge over the years, or was it just, you can't, where have you gotten some of the knowledge from, resources?
Yeah, first and foremost, what you said, books, man. Like outside of school, man, I never cared to read anything. You know what I'm saying? Growing up, but my favorite rap artist is Nas.
Okay.
So Nas had a song called "Black Girl Lost," and he did an interview and talked about where he got the name from, the book and the author. Come to find out, this is the time I was at going to college in Detroit in the dorm, and the author was Donald Goines, who's from Detroit. So because of my love for Nas music and everything, I went and read Black Girl Lost, but then I read up on Donald Goines and I read all his novels. So he had a whole bunch of novels that were fiction based, which I don't really care to read fiction now, but at that time it was based on stories of the inner city Detroit and the street life and all that stuff. And I read on that, but that kind of got my love and passion for reading. And from there, I pretty much like reading autobiographies or self-help books and stuff, but I really like reading about successful people, rather than Henry Ford and how they've been successful, rather than Magic Johnson or a professional athlete or musician or scientist, whatever. Because as you continue to read, you see everybody has a common thread, whether they getting up at 5 a.m. on their grind, whether the hard work, the consistency, dedication, the know-how, all that stuff. So books have and reading has changed my life, and like I said, that didn't happen until college when I began having a passion for reading, and then music. We talk about Nas being my favorite artist, but I would say my most favorite recent artist is rest in peace Nipsey Hussle, because he raps and talk about, even his interviews. I love his interviews. He raps and talk about many things that maybe Tupac was talking about but never got a chance to do. Right. The things that he was doing in his community, things he was building, the businesses, the family and friends that he was putting on, and getting away a life that they was living. So like. Those are probably my 2 inspirations in the sense of the reading and then music.
No, I definitely, I'm right there with you. I have to get reading more. I really do. Like I'm 28, so I feel like I'm a little behind when it comes to reading. But I've been doing some audiobooks and stuff recently. But yeah, I'm trying to get into, like you said, finding those couple books that really get me kickstarted into it.
Well, I'll give you one book, man. It's called Goals by Brian Tracy. Definitely check that out.
Right,
Goals by one of the books that it kind of, I always go back to that. Like it's a book you can read over and over and get different gems and kind of help you refocus and get everything back in order. But Goals by Brian Tracy.
All right, I noted that. I'll definitely get that one. And then also kind of, was there kind of like like you said, a moment of, I don't want to call it necessarily failure, because you kind of briefly mentioned there was a time where you thought about closing it, but was there a time where you actually did fail and you kind of, you learned from it though, and you were able to progress from it?
I guess I'll kind of talk about in 2009, man, I almost had to close the doors of the business for sure. So I had some major problems manufacturing, and come to find out, my head point of contact for my manufacturer was lying to me. Oh. So I always had a great relationship where, at the time I was doing business for 7 years, never met my manufacturer face to face, but Western Union money, send money to the bank, everything was always great. And it got to a point where I was sending thousands of dollars, and my orders weren't coming back in time. They kept telling me next week. So what I'm doing, I'm telling my customers that we have available in 2 weeks and 2 weeks. So one of the great things about our uniform business is our turnaround is 3 to 4 weeks. Whereas if you deal with, from a custom standpoint, you deal with Nike or whatever, they may talk 3 or 4 months. So that gives us advantage. So I had quite a few customers, and fortunate for me, these are people I have relationships with. But that 3 to 4 weeks turned to 5 weeks, turned to 2 months, turned to 3 months. And I kept telling them next week, because that's what my manufacturer was telling me.
Right.
And it made me look like a liar. And that's one thing when you're dealing, even through good and bad times, like you always want to be transparent and honest with your customers, because at the end of the day, they may not like it, but they can respect that at the end of the day. And because of that was happening, and we weren't able to get uniforms to customers, and that was my only source of manufacturing at that time, it was tough. Like it was, that's when everything crashed in 08, 09, it was just a bad time. So what I do, I get on the plane, I go over there, sit down, talk, and then while I'm there, I said, forget that, I gotta have a plan B. I meet with another manufacturer who come to find out was really my manufacturer I've been dealing with was day one, and this lady had left them and did some other stuff. So it was crazy, and I still got a great relationship with them, my main manufacturer to this day. But like I said, that was part of what made me go to other countries and stuff. But it was tough because here I am, you and I got a relationship, and you got a game in 2 weeks, and I'm telling you're gonna have your uniform, and come game time, you don't got your uniform, and you gotta scramble and get something else, and then I'm still telling you they're gonna come another 2 weeks from there, another 2 weeks, and they still not coming. Then you're like, oh, there's lying. I'm not dealing, and that could have, if I was dealing with people that I didn't know, that could, word of mouth is the best way to grow your business, but it can kill your business as well. So if that would have got out, and those people that bad mouth me in the business, we may not be in existence today. But that was probably the toughest time from a business standpoint, because it was some things that was out of my control, but yes, things that could have ended my business.
I mean, I think that was a gem right there, where you just, you bossed up and you got on the plane and you said, all right, well, I'm coming out there. Like, that's what it is though, right? That's what it's about. It's like your passion was on the line. Like, your passion was about to be taken from you at the hands of somebody else. And you said, you know what, I got to take matters into my own hand and step up and take control of the situation. And you did. And that's amazing. That's an amazing story right there. I commend you for that too. That's awesome. Yep. So final kind of question right here, and you kind of answered some of it as far as for the books, but was there anything else besides books? Again, maybe the internet. Did you YouTube eventually? What do you do now, kind of to get through things as far as if you have questions or you run into roadblocks where you need answers for things? What do you lean on?
Like it's funny, when I first started the business, when I was looking for a screen printer, I had to flip through the yellow pages, and then find a screen printer now, with the power of the internet and Google and everything. Everything's at your fingertips. If I'm speaking with a manufacturer, I may not understand a certain term, I can just Google it and send back an answer like I really know what I'm talking about. I just learned it right then and there. So the power of the internet is huge, and definitely lean on that often. And then I think you always got to have that time and space for yourself. I try to make sure I find the proper time to pray, to meditate, to get my stretching in, because all that is part of the psyche and the mind, and keeping that right and keeping it sharp. So just try to do everything the right way. Although we be human and we fail in certain areas, but it's all about growth. It's all about progression. That's the term I live by. If we're not progressing in some shape, form, or fashion in life and business, then what are we really doing?
Now, how old are you now?
I'm 43 now.
43. You still out there hooping?
Man, every blue moon, man. I can't. I can still shoot it, but I can't do nothing else like I used to.
Nah, the knees and all that.
Yeah, my man is. I go hoop now. I'll be sore for a week. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, what's going on? But no, we're getting some good run in right when COVID first hit, but then they, last school districts, Waverly, we was playing on Waverly, they shut the gym down, so it hasn't been since then. But every blue moon, get out there with the old heads and try to get up and down, get a little cardio.
Well, no, man. I really appreciate you jumping on. I think it was cool to kind of hear the story, hear how you started, the grinds, the struggles, and just I think it's really inspiring what you've done, especially again coming from Lansing. Me and my buddy started a clothing company, so I have a passion for clothing too, and just different things like that. I think it's cool that to see other people again from Lansing where it's like they've done it or they're trying to do it, and I think always remember where you came from, and that's why I wanted to speak to you, because it's like, I mean, you're right there in my neighborhood and where I came from. So I think it would be great to have you on, and I'm glad you accepted it. I think this has been a good talk.
Yo, yeah, I appreciate you reaching out, man. Anytime, platforms such as Hustlepreneur, man, it's always a good thing for the both of us, and I enjoy having these conversations and then being able to help in any shape, form, or fashion, and that goes for the future. Even when we're done with this, anything that you need, I can help you with, and I'm here.
No, I appreciate that, man. I have a funny story too about Moneyball. So, my wife, she had moved down first because I had to finish my last year. I played college ball at Olivet, baseball, and I had to finish my last year of school, but she got the opportunity to move down to Florida, and I said, go ahead, we'll do the long distance thing for a year. I obviously have to finish, but I was like, I don't want you to regret, or me regret, like saying, no, you got to stay, and all that stuff. So I say, no, we'll figure it out. So she had came down to Florida, and she had went, I don't know, to some restaurant or some bar or something down in Miami Beach, and she spots a guy playing pool, and he's got Moneyball socks on. And she's like, oh my God, like, this guy's wearing Moneyball socks. She goes and takes a picture with him, and she sends it to me, and she's just like, oh my God, like, look at this guy, he had Moneyball socks on. And I'm like, that's Braylon Edwards, right? And she's like, who's Braylon Edwards? And I'm like, you don't know who? So me and her dad were like giving her crap about it. We're like, dude, that's Braylon Edwards, star Michigan, Michigan University football player, like all this stuff. But no, she was just excited because she saw Moneyball, where it's like, it's Braylon Edwards, and she's taking a picture because, the Moneyball socks, it was just that feeling of like, wow, my hometown is, somebody's wearing it in Miami. So
small world. I mean, it's crazy because, brother that came to me, I didn't know he knew me out of nowhere. Like, man, I watched when I was in high school that y'all was at UD playing, because he's hooping and everything too. And we knew mutual people and everything like that. So yeah, we got him some, Moneyball and everything. But yeah, definitely small world, no question about it.
No, I think it's cool. Yeah, man. So again, I just appreciate you being on. We'll kind of wrap up the interview now. I'll talk to you a little bit, once we kind of stop the recording and wrap things up. But again, I really appreciate it. Thank you for being on. And, actually first, shout out kind of some stuff right now. Where can they find Moneyball? What's the website?
Yeah, so we have 3 physical locations. One on the west side of Lansing, right up the corner of Worthy and Saginaw. We have one in the Meridian Mall in Okemos. And then we have our 3rd and newest location in Southfield, right on Southfield Road, between 12 and 13 Mile Road. And obviously, you can catch us everywhere on the internet. Moneyballsportswear.com is our website. Instagram, Moneyball Sportswear. Twitter, I am Moneyball. LinkedIn, Moneyball Sportswear. Facebook, Moneyball Sportswear. So, Moneyball, baby. Run away the ball.
Hell, that's what I'm talking about. How do they find uniforms? Uniforms are on the website too? How do they reach out about getting uniforms?
They have to email us. So our contact information on email, because everything is custom and done from scratch for the particular customer. It's not template, or you just pick us out. You could if you want to, but we like to really get in custom with. So they send us an email, and then we take it from there.
Well, I appreciate it again, Desmond. Thank you for being on, and I appreciate you, man. We'll be talking in just a minute.
All right, thanks for having me. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Well, that interview couldn't have went any better. I definitely enjoyed talking to Desmond. Definitely think his story is pretty inspirational, especially for people who are coming from Lansing, Michigan. Like he said, I mean, it's awesome to be able to hear a story like that and then try to pass it down, or like give knowledge to the people coming up and different things like that. So I definitely admire him and what he's been able to do. And I think a lot of you probably got a lot of knowledge from this podcast. So yeah, thank you guys again for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe to the video. As always, the podcast is sponsored by the one and only Royal Legacy Clothing. You can check out the link below, and then all of Desmond's information is going to be below also. So definitely check out Moneyball. I've had clothing over the years for Moneyball. My wife, Moneyball is quality material, quality things, and yeah, especially if you need some jerseys, man. The jerseys are dope too. So check them out. Definitely rock with Moneyball. They're going places still, and like he said, it's been a grind for the last 18, 20 years for us. They're going further. So definitely check them out, and I appreciate you guys for watching. That will conclude episode 5 of the Hustlepreneur Life Podcast. tune in next week for episode 6. Thank you.